welcome to Your Daily Writing Habit, episode number 332. If you're writing a book or thinking about it, or maybe you've started writing your book and you need some help finishing it, or perhaps you're at the stage where you need help letting more people know about your book, you are in the right place. Good morning, happy Sunday. I'm your host, Christine Whitmarsh, also known as Christine Inc., Christine-Inc.com. Every day I'm sharing with you the writing habits I've learned over my 18 years as a ghostwriter, book coach, and author. I have found that three things in particular have a huge impact on your success as an author, and they have the ability to turn someone who barely sees themselves as a writer into a published author. Those three things, and also the focus of this show, are writing fundamentals, productivity, and mindset habits. Now, since the live version of this episode is airing on a Sunday, what we do every Sunday is rather than giving you tips about writing your book, I give you an example of the finished product. And at the end of the book excerpt that I'm about to read, what I do is I pose a learning question that will hopefully help you with your own writing. So for this week, I have a client book here, covered it, what was like over a year ago, I think. The client book name is Shift the Narrative, A Blind Man's Vision for Rewriting the Stories That Limit Us. And the author is Russell Redenbaugh. And you can get information at shiftthenarrative.com. And also, I have an exciting update. This book has actually gotten the attention of Hollywood. And Russell's story, this book, is currently being made into a documentary film about his life. A film that I am honored to be consulting on and actually will be interviewed as part of, as someone whose life has been greatly impacted by this remarkable man. So once again, shiftthenarrative.com. Shift the Narrative, A Blind Man's Vision for Rewriting the Stories That Limit Us, if you're looking to get your copy of this book that is about to be made into a movie. So without further ado, here's an excerpt from Russell's book. Jiu Jitsu is strategy over strength, skill over size. It's three-dimensional chess. This was a good fit for me, as I was never the athletic kid. I was always picked last for teams. Little League at the time was divided into major and minor leagues. I didn't even make it into the minor leagues. I was energetic and fit, certainly not a slob, but not well coordinated and certainly not a fighter. So I was bullied, which ingrained in me the instinct in confrontational situations to back away and open the distance between the bully and myself. This is most people's natural response: open the distance, not close it. But in some martial arts and fighting sports, closing the distance is the exact correct action. As in boxing, for instance, when the fighters are in a clench, which looks more like they're hugging, but they can do almost no damage. They can't throw a punch and put their weight behind it because they're too close. In karate, if you're too close, you can't successfully kick your opponent. You need a certain amount of space. Otherwise, all you can do is step on his toes and kick him in the shins. So the natural tendency is to open the distance to allow space to strike. In Jiu Jitsu, the most successful strategies involve doing the opposite of your instinctive reaction. Moving against your emotions is also what is required to be a successful investor. In Jiu Jitsu, by grappling at extremely close range, you reduce your opponent's capacity for punching and kicking while increasing your capacity for throws, joint locks, and chokes to bring them to submission. Hold the opponent close with one hand. Quickly squat down with the other hand. Heel pick. Stand up quickly. Step back with one hand still on his chest. Push forward. Opponent goes down. It's inevitable. By virtue of the laws of physics, if he's on one leg, his torso is moving backward, and his leg that you're holding is moving forward. He will fall onto his back. These are all things that I learned, and it made perfect sense to me. Jiu-Jitsu went completely against quote-unquote normal thinking, which reinforced for me how success often requires overcoming your natural instincts, fears, reactions, and prejudices. It is overcoming your wrong common sense. It's about shifting out of autopilot into discomfort, settling there and being open to the possibility that the first action you feel like you should take might not be the right action. It might be correct. It might be wrong. Just be open to the possibility either way. Shifting your narrative requires a willingness to be wrong. There were about 10 to 25 people in each of my classes, mostly male, mostly in their 20s and 30s, and all sighted with full use of their bodies. Most had taken up the art as a form of self-defense. Despite my physical limitations compared with those I grappled with, I became very good at Jiu Jitsu. I was already fit and strong from a decade of training with Steve, and I have to confess, as an older, disabled guy, it was very satisfying beating up on those young kids, David versus Goliath. More so than my eyesight or lack of eyesight, the bigger problem was my hands. I don't have any grip with my left hand and a very modest grip with my right, so I would fight on my back, predominantly using my feet and legs. This strategy works well with Jiu Jitsu since it's a non-striking martial art, similar to judo or wrestling. No kicking or punching your opponent. It fit me perfectly. The lesson here is also about playing your own game rather than trying to win at someone else's strategy or succeed in someone else's narrative. David changed the rules completely. He had no armor, nothing to limit his movement, and he fought from a great distance from Goliath. The 6'7" giant used hand-to-hand combat, fighting up close to win his game. David never got in range, and with his slingshot and pebble, essentially became the world's first sniper. Play your own game, no matter how big the competition is, or how unlikely it seems that you will win. Once again, that was an excerpt from my client's book, Shift the Narrative, A Blind Man's Vision for Rewriting the Stories That Limit Us, a book that is being turned into a documentary film by some quite accomplished Hollywood filmmakers. So shiftthenarrative.com. And I hope you enjoyed this week's Sunday story time here on Your Daily Writing Habit. And here's today's study question. Russell's lesson here is a loud and clear one. Play your own game, not someone else's. Which unique personality trait, skill, or talent do you have that contributes to your game as an author? It might have to do with your writing, or it might have nothing to do with your writing and be something like, I don't know, fierce determination to get things done no matter what. Like you're a person who just, once you put your mind to something, you cannot be stopped. You are an out-of-control freight train. That could be one of your unique traits. Or maybe you're awesome at marketing and relationship building, which will be invaluable in building an audience of your readers once your book comes out. Or maybe it's something else. Especially if we think of the increasingly crowded marketplace for books and publishing and authors as Goliath. So if we think of the crowded book marketplace as Goliath, what slingshot and pebble do you have that might make you David? Oh, and by the way, in the case of the David in the story I just read, Russell, in case people aren't familiar with his story, this is a 50-year-old blind guy missing most of his fingers who became a 3-time gold medal world champion in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Let me say that again. A 3-time gold medal world champion in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu against younger, sighted opponents with no physical disabilities. He found ways to turn his weaknesses into competitive advantages. David beating Goliath. You can too. We all can. Thank you for joining me here on Your Daily Writing Habit, where I'm helping you write and finish writing an awesome book. And be sure and drop by my Inc. Authors group on Facebook for motivation, accountability, book writing, publishing resources, and more. And just let us know how you're doing on your 2020 book writing goals or how we can support you. Until tomorrow, happy writing.